What are we doing here? From whence did this Maximilian Verstappen fella come? I don't understand how he's doing this so frequently now. 4 tenths up was he in this qualifying session at the Austrian Grand Prix as versus Lando Norris, who is not a bad peddler. All of the F1 aficionados in the lead up to this Grand Prix said that Lando Norris has the best machinery, and it's not even close. Case in point has been the last two Grand Prix, Spain in particular. To the end of that stint, Lando Norris was a coming, wasn't he? That car had come alive. Even some people said Maximilian Verstappen was the difference maker. Toto Wolff said as much, that Red Bull didn't win that Spanish Grand Prix. Maximilian Verstappen did. Ergo, Red Bull in that RB20 no longer have the fastest machine in that RB20. But yet and still at the Austrian Grand Prix, Lando Norris territory. He's a specialist around this track, some said. So then you can expect Lando Norris to go well, can't you? True or false? You would expect him to nail pole potentially for qualifying, or potentially nail the sprint shootout. None of the aforementioned, not a sniff of it. But why and how? I think more importantly, because the naysayers around Maximilian Verstappen have said on a gazillion occasions that his soft, weak, vulnerable underbelly is how does he respond to adversity? What happens when he's not driving the quickest car? He's the beneficiary of an Adrian Newey machine. Anybody, they say, can drive a quick car quickly. Well, what about now? Because we're all singing from the same hymn sheet as far as the pecking order, the machinery hierarchy. McLaren have the fastest machine, but yet and still Maximilian Verstappen makes them all look slow. For the avoidance of doubt, in final form, in the final standings at qualifying for the Austrian Grand Prix, he was 4 tenths up on Lando Norris. 4 tenths around the track. That's as near as makes no difference. 60 seconds to go round. What are we doing? I say for again, the avoidance of doubt. From whence did they get this fella? He's not of this planet now. Excellence, some people say, is what you do every day. And this is becoming a habit now, these sort of showings. Only this morning, absolutely God tier again during the sprint race. Only yesterday, God tier again during the sprint shootout. You'll remember that I got goosebumps. Microsector 1, 2 and 3 during sector 3 were all purple. He pulled it out the bag. The goatiest ones of them, I'm not just talking about Formula 1, I'm talking about sports more broadly, because I think this dude has elevated his performances of late to that sort of level where we need to start having these conversations. The goatiest ones have that ability to pull performances out of the ember, the best of themselves at the times that matter most. All tennis points aren't made equally, as an example, or qualifying sessions too. Previous iterations of Max Verstappen, please see 2021 at Jeddah as an example, would have made a cheeky unforced error in sector 3. Where has that dude gone to though? A 26 soon to be 27-year-old Max Verstappen barely makes any mistakes. Lando Norris has spoken to this too, saying that before I was at 99.5, I need that extra 0.5% if I'm to compete with Maximilian Verstappen, and I can't make mistakes, and I'm going to need fortuitous circumstance, and I'm going to need to get a perfect start off the line, and I need my team to be on the money as far as the pit stops, and the setup needs to be as good as makes no difference. Perfect. What are we doing? How is anybody going to beat that chap? Shy of an Alonso or a Lewis Hamilton in a god tier machine, one that's quicker than that RB20. How is somebody going to take it to this dude? Lando Norris during the sprint race had a whiff of it for a second, didn't he? Only for Maximilian to say not so fast at the very next turn. How very dare you, Lando Norris, think that you can beat a Maximilian Verstappen? Not like this fella. I don't know. I'm in awe at this point, I will be honest. I've gone back to enjoying me some F1. The irony of all this is that Maximilian Verstappen loves to nail himself a 20-second victory, right? He's in love with dominance. That's his favourite way to win. But this way, when he doesn't have the quickest car, makes the naysayers take 2 seats. This isn't up for debate anymore. Now that we can see how he responds to adversity, we know now that as at June 2024, this is Maximilian Verstappen version 2.0. This is a different man, no different driver as versus the chap that we saw in 2021, and he wasn't too bad either, was he? This dude has ascended to new planes now. Indeed, he's Neo in the Matrix during the final scene, a different level to the rest. Good luck, the other 19, trying to beat that chap. Oh, and by the way, Checo Perez is nowhere near. It is unfair at this point to compare that chap to Maximilian Verstappen. 1.1 seconds adrift was he in the same bloody car. Listen, for the avoidance of doubt, I will say this. If you want a true barometer of where that RB20 is, as at June 2024, check Checo Perez's mass. He's the Mexican Minister of Defence, is he not? Brilliant performances in 2021 at Abu Dhabi, as an example, at Turkey too. He's no slouch. Therefore, to outperform that dude around a 64-second track to the tune of 1.1 seconds is absolutely god tier, worthy of mention. Oh, and by the way, if we're talking adversity, how do you get more adverse than this circumstance around the love triangle between Jos Verstappen, Christian Horner and Maximilian Verstappen? Team principal Christian Horner was more than disparaging this weekend at the team principal press conference, was he not? Saying of Jos Verstappen that if Toto Wolff wants to sign himself a Verstappen family member next year, then one Jos Verstappen is available. Maximilian is not. Oh, the humanity. Max only wants to operate one way in a car, racing, going as fast as he can for as long as he can. As soon as he gets out the cockpit, you see him sim racing. F1 sometimes, some will say, seems like a side mission even for Maximilian Verstappen. He's a sim racer through and through. 10,000 hours deliberate practice, give me a break. As far as Maximilian Verstappen, that's why he churns out even those performances as if they are nothing. He's too well practiced now. This is muscle memory. He drives in his sleep even. I say all that to say this. Maximilian Verstappen naysayers need to get on board. The evidence now is incontrovertible. What are we doing? I remember Jeremy Clarkson reviewing Ayrton Senna. He concluded it by saying this: the difference between Senna and pretty much as near as makes no difference every other F1 driver in F1 history is this. Some of them were good some of the time. Some of them were great some of the time. Senna was great each and every single time he got into a cockpit. What is Maximilian Verstappen over the past few races, if not that? I can hear the blasphemy door opening, but I am drawing parallels between Senna and Maximilian Verstappen. I have to. His performances of late give me no other option. The evidence now is incontrovertible. I will never ever sacrifice truth, the objective truth, at the altar of partisanship. Never ever. The evidence is clear. What is the gift in a mind if not the ability to change it? Oh, and Max Verstappen is changing minds in real time. Props to that fella. Take a bow, Maximilian Verstappen. These performances are ridiculous. Some of the best that we've seen and most consistent in all of F1 history. But I digress. The prosecution rests no further questions, Your Honour.